This whole template that we share with Paleo and Primal is just that. It's just a template. It's just a good idea of a way to start reorienting your eating habits and the rest of your life, including sleep and sun exposure and play and using your brain. But it's a template. And as a starting point, it's a great place to start an experiment. We know that there are some commonalities. We know that all of us metabolize food the same way. We all actually store fat the same way. We all burn glucose the same way. We all manufacture hormones the same way. It's just the degree to which we do it that varies from individual to individual. A lot of that has to do with your genetic makeup you inherited from your parents. Some of it now we're discovering has to do with some bad stuff that your grandparents did and then passed it on in the epigenome. That's a very exciting new area of exploration, as far as I'm concerned, is how much of what we're doing today truly is going to affect our kids and our grandchildren. So all of this is back to recognizing that while there are many commonalities from which we can start, there's a lot of individuality that sort of obligates us to do our own experiments and to try different things. One way to, a classic kind of experiment is to really reduce the amount of carbohydrates you take in for a long time and get rid of milk and certainly get rid of wheat or other grain products. And then if you slowly introduce these back in, maybe one at a time, note what happens and see if there's any bad stuff going on, and if there isn't, and I alluded to this the other day, if there isn't anything bad going on, then now you have a little map of what you can get away with. And some people can get away with more rice than others. And some people can get away with eating a lot more calories and not having it be stored as fat. But the idea that we might add in legumes. I started out as a strong proponent of Robb Wolf's advice on getting rid of legumes entirely from your diet. Now I'm pulling back a little bit, going, well, maybe, in light of this short-chain fatty acid production with the resistant starch, of which many of the oligosaccharides that occur in beans and other legumes, they're a great source of that. So maybe the reason that beans are such a flatulence problem for so many people is you just don't have your gut biome in shape. And maybe really the lectin issue in the beans isn't as bad as we might have thought it was. So it might make sense if you really enjoy beans and you really, we talked the other day about heritage and cultural reasons to maybe still include some of these foods in your diet, then why not try it? And if it's not going to cause a problem, now we know that you can get away with that. And I use the term loosely because get away with just means it's not affecting you negatively. But I think it's all, and the white rice, look, basmati rice, white rice, these are great sources of calories that convert to glucose pretty quickly. So if you're okay with that, if you're looking for a source of glucose, if you like whatever sauce or whatever else is presented with the rice, then you don't really have to stay away from that. You don't lose your Primal card because you had some rice or you ordered a sushi roll that was covered in rice. But just be aware. Just develop that instinct. This is what I really wanted. My job in this life is to educate people on yourself. Understand as much about your own biochemistry so that when you make choices, you just know what you're doing. I'm okay with whatever you choose as long as you understand the ramifications.
And maybe just to piggyback on that a little bit, with my book, I had always recommended a 30-day elimination and pretty strict with that because I had seen that the classic reasonable American Dietetic Association recommendation of a little bit of moderation really didn't get people anywhere, and particularly with folks with systemic inflammatory issues, autoimmune disease, we really needed to tighten things up, particularly in the gluten areas, possibly dairy, maybe the legumes and whatnot. And over the course of time, I think we've had a little more elucidation on some of that stuff. One of the interesting features, when we talk about this paleo template, is the transition from the hunter-gatherer life way to the agricultural life way was that we started eating a lot more of these cereal grains and legumes without any animal products, or very, very little. And so when we are in a situation of nutrient deficiency, that's when a really high carbohydrate diet or a high grain or legume based diet really becomes problematic. And a lot of Matt Lalonde's work really illustrates this pretty clearly. So we saw a loss of height, we saw all kinds of dental malformations and different things like that. But if you have folks that are living in kind of a modern setting and we're generally getting access to good quality animal products on a consistent basis, the likelihood of developing nutrient deficiencies even while eating some of these other foods are pretty low. So, again, this kind of ancestral template gives us a lot of background and a lot of understanding, but we need to remember kind of what the ordering and what the situation was.